This is the second of our 2 lessons on determining locations. And make sure you have the location activity Java source code open in Eclipse as we did in the previous lesson. Lines 167 through 202 define our setup method that establishes find and/or course location providers depending on which button is pressed. 168 sets up a location variable for the GPS location. A location variable can consist of a latitude, longitude, timestamp, and other information such as bearing, altitude, and velocity. 169 sets up a location variable for the network location. 170 removes all location updates for the location manager. 171 and 172 initialize the latitude and longitude and address displays and set them as unknown. 174 through 181 define code for the Use Find option. 175 and 176 set up background colors for our buttons. And these are working fine on my phone, but are fuzzy on the emulator, and we won't worry about that. 178 and 179 request a GPS update from the provider using a method below we'll examine shortly. The first parameter in line 179 specifies the provider, and the second parameter specifies the string to be displayed if the provider doesn't exist on the device. Line 181 updates the location on the display based on the new location provided. 182 through 200 define code for the Use Both Find and Course option. 184 through 188 are just like lines 175 through 179 up above. Line 189 and 190 request a network update from the provider. It's just like lines 187 and 188, except for using a network instead of a GPS provider. Lines 194 through 200 use the best result to update the display. Lines 215 through 224 define the request update from provider method that we used above. 217 tests to see if the provider is enabled. 218 and 219, if the provider is enabled, use 2 location manager methods to get a location. Line 218 requests a location update, and line 219 retrieves the last known location. 221 toasts an error message if no provider is enabled. 223 returns the location. 227 through 231 define a method to set variables to indicate using the find provider. 234 through 237 define a method to set variables to indicate using the find and course providers. 240 through 244 define a reverse geocoding method that translates latitude and longitude into a street address. 243 uses the reverse geocoding task class below to avoid tying up the UI thread, and we'll look at that class in a moment. 246 through 254 send an update to a handler, which then updates the UI with the new location. 257 through 277 define the location listener object. 259 through 264 define the onLocationChanged method that updates the UI with the new information. 266 through 276 define 3 empty method overrides that we're not using in the app. 288 through 328 define the getBetterLocation method that determines whether a location reading is better than the current location fix. 289 through 292 return the new location if no current location fix exists. 295 through 298 check whether the new location fix is newer or older. 302 through 307 use the new location if the current fix is more than 2 minutes old. 310 through 313 use the getAccuracy method to check whether the new location fix is more or less accurate than the current fix. 316 and 317 check if the old and new location are from the same provider. 320 through 327 determine location quality using a combination of timeliness and accuracy. 331 through 335 check whether 2 providers are the same. 340 through 373 define the reverse geocoding task class by extending async task. And you can review the lesson on threads and async tasks for additional information on running tasks in the background. 350 defines a geocoder variable and object. And geocoding is the process of transforming a street address or other description of a location into a latitude and longitude coordinates. Reverse geocoding is the process of transforming a latitude and longitude coordinate into a physical address. The amount of detail in a reverse geocoded location description can vary. For example, one might contain the full street address of the closest building, while another might contain only a city name and postal code. 352 and 353 define variables for a location and a list of addresses. 355 obtains a list of addresses using the getFromLocation method of the geocoder. 361 checks to see if any addresses were returned. 362 retrieves the first address from the list. 364 through 367 format an address string. And 369 updates the address field in our user interface. That's part 2 of our lesson on determining locations. As you saw, there are a lot of details to attend to, and you should be able to use this demo as a good base for dealing with these details and getting location information in your apps.